Hello everybody and welcome back to another Perth LinkedIn Success Series. As always, joined by my fantastic co-host, the lovely Janine, and the man mountain, Bruno. Afternoon, guys.
Because somebody else.
We've got a cracking show lined up, so let's get straight into it and give Bruno the opportunity to introduce our special guest.
Hello everybody. It's a great honor today for me to introduce our special guest. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of the Australian Institute of Management, WA. Professor Gary Martin. He's leadership and management development specialist with expertise in strategic planning, organizational design, marketing, and public relations. Professor Gary also has had ample experience in design and delivery of programs within Australia and abroad. Professor Gary.
Hi Bruno.
Welcome to Perth LinkedIn Success Stories.
Thank you Bruno, thanks for having me.
Great. Professor Gary, could you tell us a little bit about how you've been able to use LinkedIn as a conduit, to convey what you guys offer here at the Australian Institute of Management, WA?
Sure Bruno, what we do here at the Institute is three things. We like to be seen as a thought leader in leadership and management. So we like to get our ideas out to the public, to the broader community, even outside Western Australia, to get people thinking about leadership and management. We also run an extensive range of leadership and management development programs, and we have a number of initiatives that recognise effective leadership and management in the community. So I use LinkedIn primarily for that first purpose, which is about getting people to think about leadership and management and how they might improve or enhance their leadership and management capability, not only individually but within their organisations. So that's been my main focus for my LinkedIn articles and posts, is to get people to think about how to be a better leader or manager, whether they be an aspirant leader or manager, a mid-level manager, senior manager, or even an executive or CEO.
One thing that really impresses me a lot, that you attend to every single one of the posts by yourself and you reply to every comment.
Yeah, well, I think that's a basic courtesy if people are taking the time to read an article or to thank you for posting it or making a comment on the post. At the very minimum, I think if you're on LinkedIn, you should respond with thank you. You might not always agree even with someone's comment on your article, but the important thing is that you need to acknowledge that person's made an effort to make a comment, even just to like it sometimes, or to share it with others.
It's that consistency between the offline and online presence of just common courtesy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, people take the time to say something, you say something back, even if it's simply a thank you. And that means that people are more likely to come back and comment and to read again.
Great stuff.
It's sort of the same as doing face-to-face. Somebody would come up and say hello and you wouldn't ignore
You would
them.
ignore, yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm really keen, given your position here and your thoughts around CEOs and senior leaders, how they should be approaching LinkedIn for their personal strategy. And we're seeing a lot now from the senior leaders joining LinkedIn as that platform. And a perfect example is Shane Elliott, the CEO of ANZ, doing that more consistently now, particularly around the current lending environment. But what's your take on that?
Well, I think there was a period of time that we've been through where CEOs have actually looked at social media and really thought that's for others to do. I think it's turned around now, and more CEOs are starting to get on board. But the worst thing someone can do as a CEO is get on board with social media, put a profile up there and do nothing, right? So if you put nothing up, if you put your profile up, people aren't going to interact with you unless you facilitate some interaction. So I think the mindset's got to change for CEOs. As I said before, CEOs would say, we're thinking, many CEOs, not all CEOs, we're thinking that social media in an organisation is for someone else. Now you've got to say to yourself, this is actually part of my job.
Yes.
This is part of my job. So it's not an add-on to your job, it's actually part of your job. So not a day goes by where I won't just let my LinkedIn profile just sit there. Every day, 7 days a week, I'll actually post something or I'll write something for LinkedIn and hope people will read it and comment. If you don't view it as something that you do every day, then it loses its impetus. Social media doesn't shut down during regular work hours, so it's not a 9 to 5 thing. As a CEO, you've got to be engaged with it maybe 2 or 3 times a day, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, to say thank you to people, to see what people are saying, to respond accordingly. But it's got to be seen to be part of your job rather than an add-on. And I think we're starting to see that change now.
Which is a brilliant point, so and it kind of leads into the question that I want to ask, because ultimately you're the leader, you're leading by example, it's coming from the top. If you can't put yourself out there on the social media platforms and represent that culture that you have within your company, how are you going to expect your senior management and all the way down to those that are bringing in product or the service to your customers? If you're not leading by example, how are they going to understand the culture and what you expect of them?
Sure.
So my question is, do you think it's the employer or the employee's job to create these LinkedIn profiles, and who should be leading for the company?
Look, when it comes to a CEO, there's various discussions we've had here too about whose LinkedIn profile, for example, should be out there. Should it be a company profile, or should the CEO go out? Because people are interested in knowing what the CEO stands for, what the CEO thinks. What we've tend to find is that when people put their company out on LinkedIn, it becomes less personal, and people actually want a more personal approach. And so in terms of, if you put a message about thought leadership on a general company profile, for example, you'll get some engagement. But when someone can link what's being said back to an individual,
Yes.
it tends to be far more powerful.
So if you, from a CEO's perspective, if you have an employer out there with a strong LinkedIn presence, would you want to manage them in what they're putting out there, screening it? Because you want to keep it, I suppose you have to manage it to some degree because they are representing yourself, but how would you go about that? Or how do you see it being managed in the future?
I think we've got very sensible people in this organisation, and we've never really had to sit down and say, you can't post that on LinkedIn, or that's contrary to what I've posted, because we're about thought leadership, and that is facilitating thought leadership. We like to get people think about leadership and management issues and respond with their thoughts, and so there can be such diverse thoughts that any staff that actually have a LinkedIn profile who might respond to my articles or a post have got a particular view, just like anybody in the public.
Yeah.
And we're not dealing with particularly controversial issues in most cases as well. I know a lot of staff have actually got LinkedIn profiles here, which is fine, and I encourage them to also to put out stuff on LinkedIn that facilitates a thought leadership approach, because that's part of our business, and again, everyone's got to do that. So as a community here, we put things out for people to think about leadership and management, and on top of that, as I said, we have my LinkedIn profile, which then individuals within my team actually interact with as well.
Fantastic. And I think that's a testament to the culture that you've built. I've seen a lot of topics on it, I don't know like yourselves, but I feel it's a very supportive community for the better part of LinkedIn.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I think 99% of people are there to learn from other people, and that's what it's actually all about. Mm-hmm. To learn, to celebrate, to recognise. That's the sort of things that people do on LinkedIn.
Gary, that's a perfect note to say thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Until next time, stay strong.